Hello everybody. Today we are going to continue on making our GIF. So yesterday we made a GIF that featured just some photos that I took in burst mode. We'll do that, but so you're going to make your own using the burst mode, and I'll show you how to use that during class. But instead of the little badge that I made using Adobe Illustrator, which we'll get into later, we're going to make a little watermark that we're going to incorporate that's going to sort of have its own animation on top of the regular stuff. So the regular stuff, we're going to have this, what do you call it, little watermark that's going to just basically involve your name and a shape. So I'll explain a little bit about how to create shapes. And behind me, I've got this little shape that I already made here. So if you want to see what this look like, this is basically just a circle with like my letters, the letters to my name cut out, Mr. Lobello, right? And so you'd actually put your first and last name, or if you wanted to put something else like your last name with the word photography or the word art or something like that, you could obviously do that. You can make up your own brand, trademark yourself. Okay, so the way we kind of make this up, I'm just going to go ahead and make this kind of big. So you've got several different options to choose from whenever you make a new Photoshop document. These different mobile things and web things and stuff, and they all have different resolutions. Like web is usually down to like 72 pixels per inch. Mobile, same thing, 72 pixels per inch. Film and video is mostly used just for graphics. When you put it on the HD screen, they usually keep it pretty low resolution because you want to save room for when you do your video editing. Print is usually 300 pixels per inch, and photo is usually 300 pixels per inch. So I'm going to stick with photo since we're working with photos. Eventually, we're going to scale everything down for when we do our GIF. But what we'll do is I'll just make this 5 inches by 5 inches. I'll just make this a square, and I'm going to add a new layer right off the bat. And we've got a couple different options for creating a circle. We've got this shape tool down here. If you look at your toolbar here, you find this little sort of blob shape, or it might be a line or a polygon or any number of these things. But if you click on ellipse tool, I'm just going to turn this around with that black so I can see it. You can create an oval of some kind. Now, if you hold down the Shift key, it'll keep it a perfect circle. Which just I'm going to hold down the Shift key and make it a perfect circle. And in this case, it's going to be this little ellipse. The thing about this is that what it usually does is it creates what's called a live shape. Live shapes can't be edited. So if I take my eraser, it's going to have a little error here, and it's going to say this shape layer must be rasterized before proceeding. Should I rasterize the shape? Now, the idea of rasterizing means we're going to change it from a math formula of a circle it's going to keep its dimensions, and I can scale it up and scale it down without any loss to resolution. I'm going to change that from this sort of math primitive to a bunch of pixels in columns and rows. So you can go ahead and rasterize the shape. That's fine too. That's one way of making a circle, right? And I can position it. I should see these little guides here. If you don't see that, you can go to view and have snap selected, and you'll see extras as well. So that's a thing you want to keep in mind. Otherwise, you just eyeball it because this is not necessarily not really vital that it's in the center of this canvas here. So I'll go ahead and get rid of this layer here. The other way of doing this, back to mouse here. I'll just get rid of this. The other way of making a circle or making a circle is to take your selection tool, your marquee tool, find your elliptical marquee, and just hold down Shift and create a perfect circle with your marquee tool here. And then you can position that to wherever you want. And just use the bucket tool to fill that up. That's that. Now I'm going to undo what I just did here. I'm going to make a new layer. I put this on a new layer. So make sure you put this on a new layer. Have it be layer 1. You can deselect by, so you have the marching answer. You can deselect by going up to select and deselect, or you can just press Control D on your keyboard. So with that done, I'm going to make a new layer just by grabbing my type tool, and I'm going to change the color of my type to white just so I can see it better. I'll just click here, and I'll just type out Mr. Lobello, and I'm going to make sure that Lobello will fit inside of this circle here, so I'll shrink it down to about yay big. In this case, I'm going to make it about the same size as the line above it. So if what you want to do is you want to make sure that your name is sort of as wide as it is tall. You don't want it to be oblong. You could, it's fine, honestly. But in this particular instance, I'm trying to make this as even as you can. So I'm just put it down in the corner. I'm going to resize it. Hold down the Shift key to keep the to lock down the so it doesn't stretch up. Hold down the Shift key. Keep that constrained, as it were. And I'll hover it down to the center. And I want to say this is just a bit too. Let's look here. Oh, here we go. What we'll do now here. Let's sometimes when you put on the transform controls, you get different sort of borders to the object just by virtue of the fact that it thinks it's bigger by virtue of the fact that it's text. So with that done, I'm just going to take my, go over here to the toolbar. I'm going to find this right here, the magic wand tool. I can press W on my keyboard. So you have, if you hold this button down, you might see this quick selection tool. I'm going to find the magic wand tool. So you hold it down, hold the mouse button down, find magic wand, and just click anywhere with this layer selected anywhere outside of the text, and it selects everything outside the text. Now that's fine, but we want to make sure we also click inside the O. If you have any O's, if you have any B's, R's, A's, click inside the letters that you do, and that way you can select inside the letters as well. And so if I take this away, you can see I have the marching ants around the shape of Visual Bellow, but I also have them around the edges as well. Which means I basically selected everything outside of that. So if I just pressed, so I'm going to select this layer down here. If I press delete, you can see it takes away my circle, but leaves the letters. But I don't want that. I want to select the inverse. So I can go to select, inverse, or press Control-Shift-I on the keyboard. And then once again, with this layer selected, I'll just press delete. Oops. Cancel. And then I can deselect by pressing Control-D or just click anywhere with the marquee tool selected. So that's layer 1, so I'll just make the background disappear. So go ahead and make the background layer disappear. Make sure that you have your shape here just on the actual level. And I'll just make this as big as the actual image here, just to make it as big as I possibly can. So this right here is my new badge. Now before I export this, I'm going to just invert this. I'm just going to go Image, Adjustments, Invert. So it's white because I imagine that the pictures I'm going to take are going to be dark. You can do one of two things. If you think that the pictures you're going to be taking are going to be dark, then change it to white. If you think you're going to be light, then change it to dark. Or you can change it to a different color. But have it be one color, just for simplicity's sake. And I'll just go ahead and press File, Save As. And I'll make sure this is saved as a PNG. PNG, they have, shall we say, transparency. I'll just make sure I know where I'm saving it to, pictures, and I'll just save it, as Labello Watermark. And so you're going to incorporate this into your next animated GIF by having it, either come and fade in like we did before, or have it enter in from the side. One of those things. All right. And so that way, when you start your GIF, for instance, if I wanted to bring in several pictures here, I'm just going to go to Scripts, Load Images into Stack. And I'll find these pictures I took the other day of a, let me go to my memory card here. I'll go to my CAM, and I'll just start here, and I'll just work my way down. And I'll also include the watermark as well afterwards. So basically, when you take your pictures and you want to create your animated GIF, what you'll do then is you'll import your you'll place, rather not import, that's the wrong word. You'll place your watermark, and you'll have your watermark on the final couple images here. And I'll just kind of sort of remind us how we do that. We want to make sure that they're all the same layer as well before we start our timeline, before we begin our timeline. Let's see if we can't find this. As this loads up. Once again, these are very large pictures here. These are about 20 inches across. So it's taking a moment for them to all come in. And I selected a few more than I probably should have, for this purpose at least. And we're good. Okay, good. All right, so this is just a little animation I did earlier, but I'm going to have the last few images. In this case, I want this to run the way it will once I put it in there. So the last few images are going to be my last, the top images are going to be my last couple of shall we say, scripts, frames or so. So I'm just going to go to Place Embedded. I'm going to find my watermark. And I'm going to shrink it down to where it's in the corner here. Once again, hold down Shift to make it fit. And we'll do the same thing we did before, just to figure out where it's going to be. Just duplicate it, right, and pull it down to below here. And I'll just do this kind of quickly so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Control these there. Okay. Oop. All right, and I'll just this. I'll duplicate this again. And so you have a couple of options as far as what you do with it. So this right here was the final position, and then in this case, I'll just maybe go down like a few percentage points, like 50% or so, or maybe like 75%, and then I'll merge down. So you can do a simple fade in, or you can do 50% here, or you can do a simple just moving it across the screen. Just whatever you do, make sure that you merge it down with the layer that you want it to be on top of. So that's 25. Okay. And so now when we go to our timeline, we can create a frame animation, and we can just load our frames from our layers. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. In this case, I probably should do some color correction. Make all this like 0.1 seconds, and make this like maybe 0.5 seconds here. And so I'll just play this here. And you can kind of see the animation sort of coming through. And so and you notice the watermark kind of shows at the very end here, just for a few frames. Now in this case, I think this goes a bit too slow. I think it would be better if it went a little faster, so I'm just going to go here. What's great about this, you can select all your frames, and then you can just grab your little arrow here and just give it other. And so I don't want it to go quite 0.1 of a second. I'll just have it go like maybe 7/100th of a second, 0.07. And so now, yeah, that's a lot better. That looks a lot better. I like that. Okay, so basically same general principle of getting your images and loading them up as a GIF, and then bringing in your own watermark this time. So in this case, you'll create your own images. All right, so let's go ahead and export this as a GIF and submit this to your D2L, and very good. Can't wait to see you guys produce.